This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Trelawney teacher dies suddenly after attending workshop. The Duncan's All-Age School in Trelawney has been plunged into mourning following the death of a teacher on Friday. She has been identified as Anne-Marie Lindo, the vice principal at the institution, who collapsed and later died after attending a workshop at the Hague Primary School in the parish. According to reports, Lindo collapsed shortly before 4 p.m. while she was walking towards her vehicle in the car park. She was taken to hospital where she was pronounced dead. Teachers at the Duncan's All-Age School say they are trying to come to grips with Linda's untimely passing. She has been described as a passionate teacher who cared for her students. Her skills as a mathematics teacher was recognized throughout the Ministry of Education Region 3. Woman killed father-in-law assaulted in Linstead robbery. A 33-year-old woman was shot dead, her father-in-law assaulted, and several items stolen from their residence in Linstead St. Catherine Friday morning. The incident took place in Venetia district in Linstead. The deceased has been identified as Serena Needham, otherwise called Pretty Foot. Police say Needham is the baby mother of a known violence producer in Linstead. That person is currently on a murder charge. Police reports are that about 2 a.m., the two were at home when two masked men armed with handguns kicked in the back door and informed them that they are police. The men reportedly took the father-in-law outside, where he saw 3 other masked men, 2 with rifles and the other with a handgun. Police said the men inquired who else was inside, after which they took him back into the house. 2 of the men took Needham from a room and took her outside. Loud explosions were heard soon after. The men reportedly took 2 TVs from the house, saying that they seemed to be stolen. They also reportedly took a black Samsung cell phone. About 5 a.m., the father-in-law went outside and discovered Needham's body and called the police. Investigations continue. PNP labels WhatsApp conversations as desperate and defamatory. The opposition People's National Party says it is aware of the circulation of screenshots of what it says are fake WhatsApp conversations involving party leader Mark Golding. In a statement released to the media, the PNP strongly denounced the messages, which it labeled as a desperate and defamatory act, which has been concocted to divert the public's attention from the government's incompetent handling of the wage negotiations with the various public sector groups. The party has also indicated that they have reported the matter to the cybercrime unit of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. In the meantime, the PNP maintains that the government has been arrogant and high-handed in its communication and handling of the negotiations with the public sector groupings, and has urged the Andrew Holness-led government to rethink their approach and work with the unions to ensure that the civil servants are justly compensated for their invaluable service to our nation. 4 shot in downtown Kingston. 4 persons were reportedly shot and injured along East Street in downtown Kingston yesterday evening. They are being treated at the nearby Kingston Public Hospital. The incident occurred about 9 p.m. Reports are that a group of men were playing dominoes when a motorcycle drove up and a pillion opened fire on the group. Eyewitnesses say about 10 shots were fired. Investigation continues. Finance Ministry official charged with corruption. An employee of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service has been slapped with corruption charges for allegedly accepting money to shortcut an approval process. The ministry says the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency arrested the official on May 9. The employee, who was not named in a ministry statement yesterday, was later charged with corruptly soliciting and accepting funds from a member of the public. It's reported that the official facilitated the fast tracking of a motor vehicle duty concession approval process. The official was offered a bail and is expected to appear in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on May 20. Private sector appeals for transparency from government and patience from workers over salaries review. The Private Sector Organization of Jamaica has pleaded for patience from workers and the transparency from the government amid the increasing level of unrest in the public sector over the review of salaries and benefits. 3 groups of government workers protested this week, crippling the country's water supplies and air travel services. In a statement Friday, the PSOJ said the compensation review is taking place in a context where workers have sacrificed through wage freezes and marginal increases, and with the government now in a position to budget for significant increases over the next 3 years. But it contends that what the government will be able to do is driven by the need to change the unwieldy compensation structure. So while we fully appreciate that our public servants would be anxious about this exercise as it affects their bread and butter, we however should not derail this process, and we are imploring all stakeholders, workers, GOJ, opposition and unions to exercise calm, patience and restraint, the country's most powerful business lobby said. The PSOJ said the reclassification exercise should be done in a spirit of partnership, trust and transparency. We are therefore calling for a bit more patience from public sector and their union representatives, and more transparency from the government of Jamaica, so that all parties are clear as to the roadmap to finalize this undertaking and where they fall in the process, the group said. It lamented that the strikes have been very disruptive to the economy and have reduced the country's revenue intake. This is a cost too great to bear, and it is with this in mind that we appeal to all parties to handle this matter with the least fallout for our country. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says the current compensation structure has to change for a more efficient and equitable system that rewards performance. Jamaica is currently burdened by 325 salary scales and 185 allowances, he said. This is utterly unmanageable, he has argued. Aspects of the new compensation structure, which significantly collapses those salary scales, are to be implemented this fiscal year that started on April 1. But unions have complained about not being given sufficient information, that their workers are not included, or that it will take away negotiated benefits, such as some major allowances, such as motor vehicle and education. Major gun finding in Linstead. 2 high-powered weapons were among 4 guns and 89 assorted rounds of ammunition seized by the St. Catherine North Police in Linstead in the parish on Friday, May 13. A M16 rifle along with 2 magazines containing 17 rounds and a 12-gauge shotgun, along with 5 cartridges containing 28 rounds, were among the weapons recovered. In addition, the police seized 2 semi-automatic pistols and 44 rounds of ammunition. According to a release from the police's corporate communications unit, head of the St. Catherine North Police, Senior Superintendent Howard Chambers, said shortly after midday a joint police military team was on patrol in Commodore District when a man was seen acting in a suspicious manner. He said that the team proceeded to accost the man, who subsequently ran off with a larger duffel bag. The police gave chase, which led to the man fleeing, leaving the bag behind. We called in additional support to help canvass the area and help search for this man, but efforts were futile. However, upon searching the bag, we found 4 firearms plus a blue baseball cap marked police, said SSP Chambers, indicating that the police will not relent in their efforts to bring normalcy into the division. SSP Chambers said the police have increased their presence in the Linstead subdivision. These include increased patrols and targeted raids. He is therefore calling on law-abiding citizens to continue to cooperate with the police. Whenever you see any strange persons operating in your community, call the police. Let us check them out, said SSP Chambers, adding that the police will not stop until criminal elements that operate in the subdivision are put behind the bars. Public sector workers call off strike notice. The 72-hour strike notice, which was issued on behalf of the public sector workers, has been withdrawn. This follows talks involving the Finance Ministry and the Jamaica Civil Service Association. A statement from Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says efforts will be made to speedily resolve the 2021-2022 wage claim. The JCSA has insisted that it wants the claim settled before the implementation of the compensation review. JCSA President O'Neill Grant had warned that public sector workers would go on strike by midnight Monday if the outstanding wage issues were not addressed. Prime Minister Andrew Holness had again urged the public sector workers on Friday not to create a crisis for Jamaica, warning that taking actions which impact the public revenue is not in their interest. Mr. Holness, who was in St. James at the handing over ceremony for the Montego Bay Fire Station, spoke as the tensions heightened between the government and the workers over the compensation review exercise. He noted that Jamaica has gone through a difficult restructuring of its debt and was only just beginning to make economic progress when it was hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, followed by the war in Ukraine. While those were external shocks, the Prime Minister said the country must be careful it does not create an internal shock.
Jamaica, through those two critical shocks, managed to stay stable, recovered our unemployment rate. We are now down to the lowest ever in our history at about, 6.2%. Lowest in our history. Growth is starting to return. Visitors are starting to come back. Our children are going back to school. Those shocks were not of our making. We must not make shocks for ourselves. It is one pool of revenues. And if we do anything to stop the flow of revenue into that pool, there will obviously be less for us to debate about how it is to be shared out. So whilst we have concerns, many of them genuine and legitimate, and they should be spoken of loudly, don't take action to stop the revenues from flowing into the pool, which you will need to negotiate about. It is not in your interest to do it. Not in your interest.
But the parliamentary opposition has criticized the Andrew Holness-led administration over its handling of the public sector compensation review. People's National Party President Mark Golding believes that the government has taken the wrong approach regarding negotiations with public sector trade unions.
We hear the civil servant them, Jamaica Civil Servant Association, issuing a notice, warning the government, because them saying all of this thing that is going on ignores their claim for 2021-2022 fiscal year. Yes. And they have legitimate things that they want to negotiate. And I'm telling Nigel Clark, Nigel, come off the high horse and be transparent and enter into proper discussions and negotiations with the representatives of the workers so we can have a successful public sector compensation, transformation, reclassification, and don't put the country to more chaos because you don't know how to deal with people.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.